Why, hello! I ended up doing an entire intro and everything within there, and then I found out I had poor management skills. What's that poor management? Well, I poorly ended up managing it, and so I didn't end up going live on time. Son of a biscuit. Oh, well. All right. So, welcome to episode 2 of Barely There. This is going to be the place that we're going to end up having a subject, possibly end up having guests or anything like that, and staying over on task. I know that gets a little bit trippy, especially depending on what channel that you're going over with it. Sometimes to hit the entire subject, sometimes not. But what is today's subject? It is management. Why is management? Well, there's a lot of ways that you end up having to deal with management in this hobby. You have space management, time management, financial management. So you have a bunch of different ways that we could go over with that. Today's episode, we're going to end up going through that. And at the end of the episode, we got a pretty good unboxing opening from Panel Bound Comics. We have four boxes altogether. So what's the big thing about Panel Bound Comics? Well, if you end up shopping over at Panel Bound Comics, you can use the discount code of FIFITJACK to save $2 off. Or if you have 4 or more books, use the code JACKET to be able to save 5% off your entire order instead. Orders of $30 or more ends up getting some free shipping, and that would be a good way to make it sure that you get to experience how Panel Bound Comics or PBC does their awesome customer service and how it makes it from their warehouse over into your doorstep. All right. Enough said with that. Let's keep on talking about management. Set those down. Oh, and also after we do the haul, I'm doing a special little thing for next month. I have a game plan. Let's make sure we execute it. So we're talking about management. What about management that we ended up having? Well, first, space. Rather you have single issues or you have trades that you go over with it, space is always going to be a problem that's going to go over with it. You have room for the long boxes or the short boxes that you have for the single issues. How about the trades? Well, I would strongly suggest you to never feel pressured about picking up a book unless it's something that you end up wanting, something you're interested into, something that you like. Feeling pressure and trying to grab a book, I don't think you should end up doing that because you do end up having limited space. Everyone has limited space to a certain degree. Yes, we have people that like near mint condition where they have a huge collection, but you got to think about how much time and effort they've ended up putting into that. And I'm sure they went through multiple different versions of their collection before they ended up getting to what they are. And it's still going to be continuing growing. I, however, I'm doing both single issues and collecteds, and I am running out of room. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to have to go through these books and see what I'm not going to be interested into, or what I'm just not going to end up going with it, or see what my flavor has changed, or what my hobby goes over. So I'm going to have to manage these books to make sure that I end up getting what I end up looking for. Time-wise, make sure you end up making that time to be able to read these books. It's fun to be able to collect it, but at some point you got to end up reading them. Because why did you end up getting them? As I say, they're just going to be collecting dust and stuff like that, so you might as well enjoy them. Now, financial-wise, playing back over to 2 statements ago, don't feel obligated to pick up a book, especially if it's out of print. If it's out of print, it's going for a crazy price. And if it's going for a crazy price, restrict yourself and take a brief moment, relax, and just be patient. most likely a book that's out of print will end up getting a reprint, especially if it's DC or Marvel, and just wait for that. For an example, I am collecting the entire, well, more of a modern run of Daredevil from Frank Miller all the way to Chip Zdarsky. I'm trying to get that entire run in omnibus form, and Charles Soule omnibus is still, well, out of print. Instead of going over and spending the crazy money that they're asking for, I'm going to simply sit back, wait, and see wait for whenever the reprint does happen. I'm also doing that with X-Men, where there's some places that I didn't end up getting, and I'm just going to wait for a reprint of that because that's another one that gets crazy amount of it. Spider-Man, believe it or not, there's an omnibus or two that I don't have. And I'm also coming down to where I have to decide if I want to keep on trying to collect all the runs, because you have Zeb Wells where I didn't really get the single issues and I wasn't super interested into it. But if I'm going to get all the Spidey, I'm going to have to collect that. So that's going to have to be something that I have to decide how I'm going to manage that. I also end up having other stuff that I ended up doing, like the entire Krakoa Age. I'm going to end up collecting that as they end up releasing that. So that's going to be another 12 omnibus. So I got to try and make room for that. And oh my goodness, it's going to get crazy space-wise. Now, it's important to say your indie books tend to not have so much craziness that happens with that, where you do have it go out of print and tend to sometimes have that going out of print of some cases. But that's going to be really up to you. Management wise, that's definitely something that we got to end up working on. So with that said, if you ended up watching this, let us know down in the comments down below of what you end up managing. How's your system working? But I have to be going over is management is definitely going to be a key and a good thing, and it makes you a nice, healthy hobby out of it. It's definitely something that you keep on going down the road with. Now, since we hit the topic, and we can always come back over to the topic, I just want to make sure we knock that out before we do something, because sometimes you run into certain streams that doesn't have the topic. And they don't end up hitting it. They end up going off of crazy, which isn't bad. That's all goes with it. But I just wanted to make sure I ended up getting that. I know this was an impromptu thing. It wasn't super planned out. And I poorly managed on that scale of it. Wow. We were really going into this. But I plan to manage us to have at least one Barely There podcast episode each month, and making sure that we end up keeping that. So far, we're doing pretty good. We had the first one that was talking about crowdfunding. And because I had the experience of my first crowdfunding project, and then the second one, and I've had a little bit of experience with that. Now I'm talking about management, because I feel like that we got to end up trying to keep the management of everything that goes along with that. Is there stuff that we could end up working on? Yes, there is. Is there stuff I could work on? Yes, there is. For example, I could end up trying to make sure we get a little bit better about posting stuff, going over with stuff, and making sure that we get you the best quality of content that we can end up going with. So, I'm not going to call it a night yet, but I think I'm going to start at least opening up some of these, and we'll get talking, and maybe someone will pop up into the live stream. If that happens, awesome. So I know this is super light, so I'll pass that one over. It's super heavy, so we'll go for the medium. So, Panel Bound Comics. Right there, PBC. That's where I ended up picking up these, and they came pretty quick. Oh, this is a pre-order. This is a longer pre-order because this is with the previous channel's name on it. So if you don't know, we ended up switching it over from Off of Chat Gaming over to the Bear's Lair. Why is that? Because, well, we have enough episodes to be able to talk about that. Well, I'll keep on explaining it just because I want to keep on talking. Because the thing is that I didn't want you guys thinking that we're always drinking or anything, because we don't really do any kind of drinks. Oh, this is coming from their latest sale that they have. Some good old pickups. Ooh, Chris was talking about that one. Ooh, peanuts. Set that aside, set that down. We'll start off with the first book, and I believe this is going to be earmarked for winter / December-ish because it's a winter event, and that is going to be Friday by Ed Brubaker and Marcos Martin. Private Eye, which, I have that. Daredevil and Brilliant Colors by Mustant Vincent. Private Eye. So this is a deluxe copy. This is going to be a little bit bigger than your regular trade that you end up having. And this is something I've heard really, really, really good things with it. And it's an all-in-one story. It has the complete story inside about it. A young detective hero finally grows up in an Eisner-winning hit from acclaimed creators. So Friday, Fisher spent her childhood solving crimes and digging up accurate secrets with her best friend, Lieutenant Jones, the smartest boy in the world. But that was the past, and now she's in college, starting a new life on her own. Except Friday comes home for the holidays. She immediately pulls back into Lance's orbit and finds out there's something very strange and dangerous is happening in her little New England town. This is literally a Christmas vacation from hell. They may not survive to see New York. So this is happening during Christmas time, and that's why I'm thinking this is going to end up being a December book, because that's going to be the perfect time around for that. And the other book that we have, which is a regular hardcover size, Spectators. I don't have a little cheater on the back to be able to read it, but I heard this is kind of crazy. This is from Brian K. Vaughan and Nico Hitchens. And I've heard this is kind of, what do you call it, adult-friendly book. So that's where I'm going to end up going with it. It's in a hardcover, so it's going to be over smaller than the deluxe, which would make a good comparison that comes over with it. So it could be managing what sizes that you have. As you see, the deluxe is way bigger. All right. Let's hit one of these light ones here. Let's manage our time, manage our openings. Excuse me. You have to take a drink. More peanuts. Oh, okay. This is something. This means I need to start doing a review. Because this is something I got for you guys. I don't want to open it, but so this is where I'm going to be coming out with a nice announcement that's going to be coming over with it. And if you paid attention to my Kickstarter that I ended up opening it up from Josh Greathouse, which was his Wow, wow. I need to take lessons from this. Oop. Slow and steady wins their race. Is Bang. This is going to be all 3 different volumes, and this is going to end up going out to one of you guys here watching it on YouTube. I'm also going to give away a set that's going to be over on TikTok as well. Stay tuned. I'll end up having the details that comes over with it, and I'll end up breaking them down that comes over with this. So, like I said, this is going to be a nice little set that's going to be going over to one of you guys. Just wait for the review, and then I'll have the details of how you can end up entering for that. I got to make sure I put that aside somewhere else. So that was a good old pickup. That covers that. Look at us managing our boxes and everything that comes over with it. Oh, this is a compact book. So right here, I have Batman the White Knight by Sean Murphy and Matt Hollingsworth. This is a compact edition. This is going to be a smaller book. This is what you're going to be able to travel with. This is definitely the smallest book that I probably have in the collection. I like to end up doing a couple things with it. I like to manage the collection because I like to end up saying that, well, this is $10. Okay, if you pay the cover price and everything that comes over with it. So what's the big thing about this is that for a couple bucks more, you can end up trying and seeing if you end up being interested in the story. Your single issues are about $6 is what they end up going. So a few bucks more, you end up getting a few more issues. I believe this has, let me see if it says the numbers into it. I don't see it. But either way, this has like at least like 5 to 10 episodes, issues that's inside it. I like to treat these as a tester or a beta version of it. So if you're something that you're on the fence about, you can end up trying it and before you end up making the big dive over to it. Or maybe it's something that ends up holding your flavor until the big, well, deluxe or omnibus comes out. I believe Murphy right now is writing more onto it. So I'm waiting for the deluxe to come out, or not deluxe, the omnibus to come out with it. And once that does, I may end up picking it up depending on how I end up liking this. There's a pretty good story from what I could hear. So it's definitely something that I could look into and be intrigued with. So doing stuff like that allows me to be able to manage my collection, be able to figure out what avenues that I like to end up going down, and possibly what other avenues I don't like to go down. Push come to shove, it could be something I can end up using for a giveaway. And we're going to finish off with the heaviest box of them all. And there's a good reason why this was so heavy. Get rid of those peanuts. Even though the peanuts are biodegradable, you don't have to worry about them. And they're not toxic. But anyways, let's get back to this. We got the Superior Spider-Man. Volume 2. You can't just keep a superior Spider-Man down. So if you don't know, what's the big thing about this story is that you end up having Doc Ock actually taking over to Spider-Man, where he ended up doing a mental switch with Peter Parker. And that was off the original one. I think this is the other story that came out and the continuation of that. That is going to end up going somewhere up there. Nope. Web of Spidey. That's too new or too old. I think it's going to go behind Lionel, maybe. Oh, nope. That's going to go down here over by more of my modern stuff with it has Spider Armageddon and the Spencer Spider-Man. So that's going to be before that. So I got volume 2, and that's going to be a nice little way to be able to add more to the collection. So that's some ways that you can end up managing it. A big thing that I decided that I'm going to end up doing is I got the Thundercats that I'm going to be covering the omnibus. But after I end up doing it, it's my friend Omar who ends up having his birthday next month. And I wanted to do a fun event that came along with that. And what we decided is I gave him a couple different options. That I was looking into to be able to read. I know he's an X-Men fan, a Wolverine fan, and stuff like that. So I gave him a list. And for his birthday, we're going to do and end up having a review of a book that goes on with that. So what we're going to end up reviewing, buckle up, it's going to be a bit, is Uncanny X-Men Volume 1. We're going to start doing a Claremont climb and be able to see exactly where old Knucklehead Wolverine came over with it. Yes, I'm going to be joining him for his stream that he ends up having on his Patreon for reading the book. And I'm planning on reading that as well. So I got a lot of reading yet to do. So I got to make sure I manage my time. And talking about time management, I think we're going to call this a nice little solid win. And until next time, we'll see you later.